All right, so as promised, here's the solution, or sort of what I was looking for. All right, so starting with A, as I mentioned in the last video, if you wanted to get the answer, you could simply create a triangle with a base of 5 dots and build up from there. But the idea was to think deeper about the pattern and recognize that each of these ends up being our base number plus 1 minus that base number up until we get to 1, really. So in other words, this has a base of 2, and this ends up being 2 plus 1. Here we've got a base of 3, and the total number of dots is 3 plus 2 plus 1. Same here, we have 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1. So rather than drawing out the triangle, I hoped that you guys would recognize that this would end up being 5 plus 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1, which is, I believe, 15. And the hope was, by recognizing that, you would also sort of see the pattern and it would help you come up with some kind of formula. And now this is why, so now we'll move on to B real quick because the answer is 15. This is why for B I asked that you use words to explain your formula and how it works, because if you were to say something like T sub n equals n plus n minus 1, right? So that's going to be, 5 plus, when n was 5, n minus 1 is 4. This would be n minus 2, right? We keep just sort of going down. Plus, you could say dot, dot, dot. So we keep subtracting 1 and adding it to our base number of n. And you do this sort of until, even if you just wrote in words, until n minus x, whatever we're subtracting off, equals 1, I would consider that a good enough formula. There's certainly a more efficient way to put this, but the idea is there. The idea is I can give you an n, you can plug it into some general formula, and you can get the answer. Now, if you want to see the more cleaned up formula, and you could have found this just by Googling it, and I would have accepted that as long as you explain sort of how it works. The easy version of the formula is n times n plus 1 over 2. Believe it or not, take any n, plug it in, and you will get the total number of dots in our triangular number. So if we try 4, to confirm it's 10, right? Well, we would get 4 times 4 plus 1, which is of course 5, over 2. Well, 4 times 5 is 20 over 2 equals 10. And yeah, so again, in order to come up with this formula on your own, you probably would have needed to get to at least Calc 2. And that's why if you used words, I wouldn't have minded that you didn't get this exact formula, because I don't expect everyone in this class to have taken all the way through Calc 2. But if you have taken Calc 2, you've probably already seen this formula. By the way, if you are curious how to derive this formula, I can make another video showing you that. But because I'm not sure how many people are even going to watch this video, email me if you want to see that. All right, finally, for our bonus problem. So 435 is a triangular number. Which triangular number is it? This is where, and this is why I made it a bonus, because you really kind of need this formula in order to solve that. Because what you would want to say is n times n plus 1 over 2 equals 435, and you would have to solve for n. So to solve for n, we multiply both sides by 2, and we get n times n plus 1 equals 870. Now what we can do is we can distribute in this n and subtract over the 870. N squared plus n minus 870 equals 0. Now from here you can either graph this polynomial here and see where it crosses x at 0, and that'll be your n. Or this just so happens to factor nicely, because if we think, let me just go off to the side. 30 times 30 is 900, which is 30 more than what I want. So that, 30 times 29 equals my 870. Now it needs to be negative, and my middle term needs to be positive. So that kind of right away just tells me that this factors to n plus 30 times n minus 29. You can double check it, but if you FOIL that out, you're going to end up with a positive n in the middle, negative 870 on the end, which is what you want. And then this tells us that my n is either negative 30 or plus 29. But of course, when we're dealing with these t sub n values, it can only be the positive one. And so all this work tells me that my n equals 29. In other words, t sub n equals, scratch that, t sub 29 equals 435. And so that would be your answer. And just so you believe me, I went ahead and did it on my calculator. You can see there, I've got 29 plus 28 plus 27 plus 26, blah, 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 all the way, 19, 18, 17, all the way down to 1. When you hit enter, sure enough, you get 435. So I know that was fast, but this is not a math class. The whole point was just to kind of offer a quick solution for those of you that were interested to see how close they got, or if their answer was correct. Any further questions, or if you want me to explain any of this any further, just out of your own curiosity, just send me an email and I'll happily talk about a lot of or anything that I went over in this lesson. So thanks for everything, and have a good summer.